In this video, I'm going to be sharing some of my favourite coloured pencils with you. We're going to look specifically at all of the blues and blue-greys I have in my collection of coloured pencils. I'm going to talk to you about why I love these colours so much, tell you which ones are my favourites and which ones I use the most. And I'm going to talk to you also about the different qualities of the different brands of pencils and which ones I prefer to work with. I hope that this video is useful to you. Coloured pencils are something I'm asked about a lot, so I thought it would be fun to start a series of videos, and I'm going to be doing them in different colour categories as we go along. So sit back and enjoy 40 minutes or so of coloured pencil swatching. Blue is a colour I've always loved, and I've always loved using it in my work, but I've tended to go, traditionally, I would say I tended to err towards very pale greyish blues through to perhaps like dark indigos and maybe like navy blue and Prussian blue, like something that's really quite dark and moody. I didn't tend to go for anything too bright. But recently I have actually bought a few brighter blues, and I'm quite excited to share those with you. And I'm just going to talk you through all of these different blues and why I love them. So I think let's start, if I can find the pencil, they've all got a bit muddled up. But I've written them all out, and I started with one of the lightest ones, which was the Caran Luminance Silver Grey. It's going to be very pale, so I hope that it shows up on this page. Oh, it does, yeah. I will actually hold this up when I've completed a row, and you can have a look at them a little bit more closely. So I'm going to do a circle, or rather an oval, where I've applied the colour quite heavily, and then I'm going to I'll show you how it looks when it's just applied a little more lightly. See, that's such a beautiful soft colour. This is kind of like the perfect colour for me to use for skies, because I don't love, well at the moment I don't in my work anyway, a really bright blue sky. I like something that looks a little bit misty and hazy and soft, and the Silver Grey is such a nice pencil for that. So really like the Caran Luminance Silver Grey. I've had it for a few months. You can see that I have used it a bit. It's getting a little bit shorter, but yeah, I'd like to use it more actually. Right, the next one is the Derwent Drawing Sorway Blue. So this is another really pale blue, like a bluish grey. So we'll do a slightly harder, firmer pressure swatch there. It's not very big, is it? Make it a little bit bigger. I'll do a lighter one here, but this is another lovely colour for skies, just so beautiful and soft. And the Derwent drawing pencils are a really lovely consistency. The two brands I actually love most of all, and the two ranges, are the Caran Luminance and the Derwent Lightfast. I love the Derwent drawing as well, but if I had to choose, I would definitely choose the Derwent Lightfast. I kind of feel like the Luminance and the Lightfast are very similar pencils, not only in looks, because obviously they have this lovely natural wood here, and they have the painted tip, so you can just see, or painted end rather, so you can see the colour of the pencil, which I really like. Some people like the pencil to perhaps be more like these ones where they can see the colour all the way along the pencil. But I think this just looks really smart. I just love it. I think it's very stylish. I like that natural look. But yeah, the actual pencils themselves, they behave in a very similar way. They feel quite similar to me. Whereas I would say the Derwent Drawing has a slightly more creamy feel. These are kind of, how do I describe it? They're not chalky, but they're kind of, they have this lovely feel when you're using them. The texture they give is something I really love. And the colour range for both the Caran Luminance and the Derwent Lightfast is just spectacular. So I would say that these are the two brands and ranges that I would choose over any other. If I could only have Lightfast and Luminance pencils, I would actually be happy. I do have a few other brands in my collection, but they are really my favourites. So I think we should go on to the next one, which is the CDP, stands for Caran-Pablo. So this is another range that they do. This is their slightly cheaper range, and they do actually feel a bit cheaper. They are not as heavy in your hand, and they have like this hexagonal, is it hexagon? Yeah, hexagonal barrel, which I don't like as much in my hand as I like to hold a round pencil. So I prefer the feel of these. They're kind of weightier. They feel a bit more high quality. But this is a nice little range of pencils if you want to start using coloured pencils and you don't want to perhaps pay too much because they are a bit cheaper. And also they're not as light fast, generally speaking, as the Luminance and the Derwent Lightfast. That's another reason I love those two brands, is that you know that throughout the entire range, the pencils are Lightfast. With other ranges, this isn't the case. It tends to vary depending on the pigment, the colour, whatever. This one, Bluish Pale, only has 1 star, so it can only really be used for sketchbook work. But they have a really nice feel. It does actually feel lovely to work with. They're quite a good little pencil, but yeah, as I said, I just don't like the feel of them in my hand as much as the other ones. But that's just my personal preference. You may be different. And even though it's a really pale blue, it covers quite nicely. I'm just going to make that a little bit darker, that one. But yeah, be aware that when you use, I would say slightly cheaper brands of pencil, usually aren't as Lightfast across the range as the more expensive ones. It's an ideal summer sky colour, that one. Really beautiful. Okay, the next one is the Prismacolor Premier Powder Blue. Now, I don't have many Prismacolors. I actually bought just 12 of them, open stock. I think I got them on eBay because they're not very easy to come across in the UK. And I was curious to try them. I quite like them. When I've used these ones, I probably won't be buying more, just because, I don't know, I just love my Luminance and Lightfast, really. But these are slightly more chalky, at least this one is. They're still nice to use. And that's a beautiful, slightly more lavenderish toned blue, or sort of like a blue violet, I guess you could say. I've gone a bit heavy on that one, haven't I? I want to remember I'm trying to do a heavy swatch and a lighter swatch. But yeah, very pretty colour. If you like powder blue, that is a good one to get. The next one is the Caran Luminance Light Cobalt Blue. Now this is a very lovely colour. Kind of similar to the Prismacolor Powder Blue. So as you can see, I have quite a few pale or light blues because I like the softness of them. I think it's such a pretty colour. So we've gone from the slightly more grey blues or blue greys, I guess you could say, that look almost grey actually compared to these ones. These are more of your soft sort of sky blues. Shall I just do another row and then I'll hold it up to the camera? We'll do, and maybe every couple of rows I'll hold it up to the camera. The next one is a really pale one. This is the Derwent Lightfast Light Aqua. I don't know how much this one is going to show up, probably not very much from a distance. I'm trying to be quite heavy with that so that I can actually get it to show up, because if I do it really lightly, you'll see it is very pale. So it's much more aqua than the powder blues, as the name would suggest. I don't use it that often, but it's nice to have in my collection. The next one is the Holbein Artist Sky Mist. So I have a few of the Holbein Artist coloured pencils. I kind of like them. This one is absolutely beautiful. The colour of this one I love, and certainly would consider getting again if I end up using all of this pencil. It's a lovely sort of muted, almost like a muted, I don't know whether I'd call it a muted turquoise, but it kind of is. It's funny because the next one is called Muted Turquoise, different brand. I love the muted colour of this one. Really, really pretty in my eyes. And again, very soft. Slight hint of green to that blue as well. I do quite like these pencils. I wouldn't say that I like them enough to want to buy lots of them. I don't know how many I have, but certainly nowhere near as many as the Lightfast or the Luminance. But they're nice. I kind of pick and choose my colours. I tend to buy pencils open stock, so I buy them individually rather than buying sets. The only set I've ever bought was the Derwent drawing pencils. They come in a set of 24 and I really liked all of the colours, so I thought that I would get the set. But generally speaking, because I have such a particular colour palette for my work, I like to actually pick and choose the colours. So I feel like with buying a set, I could end up with lots of colours I don't use and won't use, and then that would just be a waste. So I do recommend, if you're like me and you have a very specific colour palette that you love to work with, don't buy sets of pencils because you will end up with so many that you won't use. Just go through the colour charts and buy them open stock. And then you can kind of pick and choose from different ranges as well. Because I've never seen anything, I don't think, quite like this colour in the Luminance or the Lightfast. I kind of feel like Sky Mist is quite a unique colour. I guess we'll see as we go along. The next one is Muted Turquoise, which I think is kind of similar to this. But this is the thing, you can have lots of colours that are like, people would look at your collection of pencils and say, why do you have so many, I don't know, powder blues, for example? And it's because each one is very slightly different. And sometimes when you're working, you want that flexibility, you want that that choice. So that's why. Okay, so this is the Prismacolor Premier Muted Turquoise. Again, a really nice colour, slightly more blue than the Sky Mist next to it. Actually, I do quite like these Prismacolors. They're kind of slightly more chalky than the other pencils. The next one is the Faber-Castell Polychromos Helio Turquoise. You see this slight variation between these three are all kind of similar. So if you wanted to have a smaller collection of pencils, if you're maybe not so obsessed with the minute differences between colours as I am, and this desire to kind of collect colours, you could just pick one of these. I mean, you could always use, like for example, this one, you can use it more heavily and it really looks quite a lot darker than the swatch where I've used it much more lightly. So you can get that variation within one pencil, but I just love that this one is slightly more green. This one's a slightly more of a, almost like a greyish blue. And this one you have a little bit of a more vibrant, darker sort of look. It's a slightly more punchy colour. So yeah, I like to have this variety just so I can pick and choose really. And you've got to bear in mind, I have collected these pencils. I think it's, well, I had my Faber-Castell Polychromos. I had a few of those since about 2017 or 18. And then I started buying pencils again in 2020. So it's been a good 2 years of collecting pencils. So I've built this collection very, very gradually. Whenever I see some new colours that I really love, whether, I don't know, that's from another YouTuber or someone I follow on Patreon, I'll check them out. And if I feel they're going to work with my general colour palette and preferences, then I make a note of them and I end up adding them to my basket on Jackson's at some point. Right, the next one we're going to go for is the, what's PCP? Oh, the Prismacolor Premier, yeah. Sorry, I don't know my own coding system here. I couldn't be bothered to write out all of the names in full, so that's why they're abbreviated. So this one is the Slate Grey. Fantastic name. I don't know why I love the name Slate Grey, but I just do. It reminds me of like little cottages with slate tiled roofs or something. Oh, that is a gorgeous colour. Actually, I'm really loving these Prismacolor Premiers. I don't remember liking them this much when I last used them. They're a little bit more dusty. There's more like little bits coming off as I'm swatching. But they've actually got a really nice depth to the colour. Okay, I am quite impressed with these. I might consider getting certain colours again if they run out, this being one of them actually. Right, I'm going to hold this up to the camera so you can have a closer look at these two rows of colours. Coming up, we have two smoke blues. One is the Derwent drawing and the other is the Holbein Artists. So is this the Holbein Artist version? Yep. And there's the Derwent drawing. Let's see how different these two smoke blues are. Again, lovely name. Just check I've got the right one. So yeah, the Derwent drawing are a super creamy feeling pencil. They are very nice to work with, but I can't get as much precision with them as I can with some of the other brands. So I sort of feel a bit limited, but then I have seen other artists who are able to be quite precise with them. But I love the colour range. They're a really nice set of pencils. So this is kind of very similar. It's in the same sort of ballpark as these ones here. The Sky Mist, Muted Turquoise and so on. I think this one, the Holbein Artist version, yeah, it's quite different. Look at that. Despite being called Smoke Blue, it's completely different to the other ones. So it's funny they have the same name, but really quite different colours. This is a much more lavender colour. Sort of fits in more with these ones up here, doesn't it? But yeah, I've used that a little bit because I love this sort of, again, it's quite a muted blue, quite a muted soft colour which is really nice. And this one has that gorgeous green tone to it. I'm actually surprised by how green that looks when you put it next to that one. Right, the next one is the Caran Luminance Steel Grey. Now this always reminds me a little bit, if I can find the Steel Grey, reminds me a little bit of their Payne's Grey 30%, but they are slightly different. So let's do the Steel Grey. Oh, that's such a nice colour. I think this is one of the first Luminance pencils I bought. Certainly quite early on. I've had it for quite a while. If you love soft, muted, cool greys, this is a really good one for you to get. Just going to fill this swatch in a little bit more. And then we'll do the Caran Luminance Payne's Grey 30%. So the Payne's Grey 30%, as far as I'm aware, is, for example, you take Payne's Grey, then you add white, and I'm guessing it means that 30% of the pigment is the Payne's Grey colour, and then the rest is white, because Payne's Grey 60% is a darker version, and then obviously you have Payne's Grey, which is the pure Payne's Grey. I love all of them, and I use all three quite a lot in my work. So you see, it's kind of similar to the Steel Grey, because that one is, I would say, slightly more towards green. It just looks like to me that it has a slight hint of green to it, and this one doesn't, but they are very, very close. I find it quite difficult to sort of describe colours sometimes. And I have to remember that you can obviously see, so you can make up your own mind. Everyone sees colours slightly differently anyway, don't they? Yeah, love these colours so much. Right, the Payne's Grey 60%. So now we're getting into the really dark blue greys. Such a gorgeous colour. Oh, I love that sound of the pencil. If I could only have one pencil, it would probably be the Caran Luminance Payne's Grey. I feel like it's such a useful all-round pencil. And the 60% version is really good to have too. But we're now going to swatch the Payne's Grey itself. You can see this one's quite short. I've got through so many of these Payne's Grey pencils. This is the one that I have bought most often. It's the one that I use in my work probably more than any other pencil. It's a good alternative to black. If you find black is too heavy, too dominant, get yourself a Luminance Payne's Grey. Let's look at that. Absolutely beautiful colour. And that texture, really nice. So the next one is actually a new purchase that I only got, I think it was last week. So I haven't used it in any of my work yet. It's the Derwent Lightfast Mid Ultramarine. I felt like, oh, it looks like it should be up here actually, doesn't it, with these colours? I felt like it would be really nice to have some slightly lighter, brighter blues. I love this kind of colour. Oh, I'm doing both of them really heavily. That's no good. I'm getting carried away because I'm talking and thinking about how I'm going to use it, and I'm not concentrating on the actual swatching. Do you know it's harder to film and talk and even do something as simple as swatching than you would believe. So please go easy on the YouTube creators, because I tell you what, something that seems like it would be really easy, when you have a camera on you, it becomes really difficult. You sometimes say silly things, or you can't think of something and mind goes blank. Or in my case, I meant to be doing one heavy swatch and one light swatch, and I end up doing them both heavy because I'm kind of getting into what I'm doing and I'm thinking about how I would use this colour. I was going to say that I feel like colours like this go beautifully with slightly more earthy colours and oranges. So I'm kind of excited to incorporate this into my work. That is such a nice colour, and they are always a joy to use, these pencils. So that was the Derwent Lightfast Mid Ultramarine. The next one we're going for is another new one, and it's the Caran Luminance Genuine Cobalt Blue. So let's see how this looks. Wow, gosh, that's a beautiful colour, isn't it? Now that with an orange would look amazing. Yeah, I just love the interesting texture you get with Luminance pencils. Yeah, I'm pleased I bought those. Okay, the next one, funnily enough, is another new one, and that's the Caran Luminance Ultramarine. I realised I didn't have just a basic bright ultramarine pencil, and because I want to expand my colour palette a little now, I'm kind of thinking about putting together different colours than I would usually. Oh, this one's got a lot of gritty, dusty bits coming off. Yeah, I kind of thought that it would be nice to just have a few slightly brighter blues. As I say, I'm thinking very much about using them with like indigos and greys. Like, for example, I can really imagine using the Payne's greys with these blues and some gorgeous oranges and browns in a drawing. I think that would be beautiful. And so finally for this row we have the Caran Pablo Night Blue. And I think with this one I was attracted to the name more than anything else. But yeah, it's a nice colour. Night blue. I mean, it's not like super dark, but yeah, it's lovely. It's really nice to have that. So I think what I'll do is I'll fill in this row and then I'll hold it up closer to the screen so you can have a really good look at the colours in these 3 rows in one go, rather than stopping and holding it up again. Right, the next one is the Caran Luminance Grey Blue. Now, I don't think there's much that's grey about this blue, but I guess it's because it's quite muted. I mean, it's a really lovely blue. But yeah, I was surprised it wasn't more of a grey blue. But I guess it's called that just because it has this sort of muted look. It's nice, it's really quite different actually to the others, isn't it? That's a good addition, I think, that one. So the Caran Luminance Ice Blue. This is one that I bought quite early on, but haven't actually used that much. I mean, I think it's a gorgeous colour. I guess I just haven't found ways in which to incorporate it into my work as much as some of the others. I'm glad I have it though, because it is a stunning colour. And I really do need to use it more. Something lovely about the name Ice Blue as well. I think sometimes I really do get attracted to names of colours as well as the colour itself. Yep, I need to use that one more. The Derwent Lightfast Midnight Blue 70%, is that this one? Yeah. Now this is a fairly new one for me as well. And look, it's kind of similar, isn't it, to the Ice Blue? I don't know whether you're going to be able to tell the difference on the screen, but I would say there is a very slight difference, but you know what? To be fair, if you have one of these, you probably don't need the other one. So pick which one you'd like and just stick with that, because they are very, very similar. Yeah, I can hardly tell them apart myself, to be honest. So I'm pretty sure on screen they're going to look the same. But both lovely, both similar kind of feel, because as I said earlier, the Caran Luminance and the Derwent Lightfast do have this similar feeling when you're working with them. Right, this one is the Derwent Drawing Ink Blue. Again, gorgeous name. And much more of a grey blue. Yeah, this one has a slight hint of green to it. Very nice. And the last one on this page is the Derwent Lightfast Ocean Blue Dark in brackets. Ah, this is kind of similar to the Derwent Drawing Ink Blue, but not quite. Slightly more grey. Interesting colour. Okay, I'm going to hold these up for you and you can have a closer look. So to start this next row, this is the Caran Luminance Bleu Denim. Is it this one? Yeah. Sorry for my French pronunciation, but that's as good as it gets. This one is like it's a slightly more purple tone to it. And I always kind of feel like these ones look good in night landscapes. So this is the Caran Luminance Prussian Blue. Gorgeous dark blue. Not at all purple, this one. It's funny, I did try to do these in some kind of order, going by the colour on the end of the pencil, but I can see now that the importance of swatching, because they do actually look quite different. Another Caran Luminance, this time in Danthrone Blue. Yeah, I do have a thing for these dark inky blues, don't I? That one's slightly more leaning towards purple, but nowhere near as much as Bleu Denim. Actually, looking at that, it does actually look like it is purple compared to these ones. So my love of indigo, I have an indigo, a dark indigo, and another dark indigo. Oh, and another dark indigo. I have lots of different indigos. So we're going to start with the Holbein Artists Indigo. It's kind of like with paints. I always feel I can't have enough blues and greens. And I'm the same with pencils. I'm kind of obsessed with blues and greens. So that's their version of Indigo. Then we have the Faber-Castell Polychromos. Is this it? Yeah, dark indigo. So you'll see how different the Faber-Castell dark indigo is to the Luminance dark indigo in a moment. It's like completely different colours. And again, it's sort of erring towards looking a little bit green. Very nice colour. But not a super dark indigo. Before we swatch the other dark indigos, we have Denim. This is a Derwent Lightfast colour. Yeah, that is pretty denimish actually. It's true to its name, this one. I think I bought that fairly recently, so I haven't used that one all that much at the moment. The next one is the Derwent Lightfast Granite, another fairly new one. Now this is probably the least blue-grey we perhaps have in this category. I actually kind of feel like the tip of the pencil looks a slightly, or rather the end of the pencil, looks a slightly more blue-grey than the colour you see when you swatch. I don't feel like that's a super cool looking grey, but it's a nice grey nonetheless. Really nice soft grey. The next one is the Caran Pablo Grayish Black, and I kind of felt like this was their version of Payne's Grey. I'll tell you one of the benefits of having a hexagonal pencil rather than a round one. So you can lay it down and it doesn't roll anywhere. I often have a problem with the round pencils rolling off. So yeah, that's a nice colour. It feels nice to work with actually. I do rate the Pablo pencils. I think they're nice pencils. So yeah, very good if you're on a bit more of a budget. But yeah, just be aware of the Lightfast rating. I mean, this one has good lightfastness. This is 3 stars. So yeah, that one's safe to use on whatever you'd like. So the next one we're going to test is the Faber-Castell Polychromos Cold Grey 6. So again, not super blue, but it is a cold grey, which usually means they tend to be a bit more blue toned. So just quite a nice basic dark grey, this one really. Quite nice, quite useful to have. Good addition. Slightly more brown toned than the greyish black next to it. If you want something that's kind of similar to a Payne's Grey, the Caran Pablo greyish black really is. And so this is the Faber-Castell Polychromos Payne's Grey. So their Payne's Grey looks like this. Let's just do it nice and heavy. And I'd say it's very similar to the Caran Pablo greyish black, rather than the Luminance Payne's Grey, which has a much more blue, lovely deep blue kind of look. These are much more just sort of basic greys, really. So yeah, you see the Faber-Castell Polychromos Payne's Grey and the Caran Luminance. If you really want a brilliant Payne's Grey, you go for the Caran Luminance. So the next one is Derwent Lightfast Dark Indigo. It's a nice blue, but it's not necessarily like a super dark indigo, is it? The Faber-Castell Polychromos is actually a darker indigo than this one. I'm not sure I had actually compared the two of these together before. I'm surprised because usually I would say the Derwent Lightfast has a sort of stronger look, but they're actually very similar. This is a pencil I've used quite a bit. This is the Derwent Lightfast Midnight Black. So this is really good if you want a black that isn't as heavy as a traditional black, because it has that slight hint of blue to it, which just gives it a slightly softer look. It's a nice colour to have. As I said, I do actually use this one quite a lot. I think this is probably one I wouldn't want to be without, just because I feel like it's a really versatile colour. That swatch has gone a bit wonky. Okay, the final one is the Dark Indigo Caran Luminance, and you'll see just how dark this dark indigo is. Now, it's probably going to look black to you. It has this gorgeous blue tone to it that really comes out if you layer it. So I actually have a pink-white pencil. It's a really, really pale pink, almost white. If you go over the Caran Luminance Dark Indigo with their pink-white pencil, it really brings out this almost electric blue kind of colour. It's gorgeous. So it's a great one for layering, and it's a great one to use in place of black if you want something that's not as heavy as black. So there we have it. That's my full range of blues and blue greys at the current time, July 2022, in my coloured pencil collection. This is what I have. I kind of feel really glad actually looking at this that I recently purchased these three, because I think they just add another dimension. If we take those away, I can see that they were much needed just to kind of broaden the range of my blues a little bit. So yeah, I look forward to trying to incorporate those into my work. And as I said earlier, I have a few ideas for the different colours I want to mix them with, that I think they'll look good with. So I'm going to hold up this page and you can have a closer look at these colours, but I'll just say for now, I hope that this has been useful to you and that you've enjoyed this lovely calm swatching session. She says as the roar of a jet engine goes overhead. I don't know whether the camera's picking that up, but it's been lovely just to sit down. Actually, it helps me to get to know my colours a little bit better, because we often just choose colours that we love and perhaps don't really look at all of the colours we have in that colour group together. And I think it's really useful to do something like this to see what you don't need to buy more of, as well as perhaps, you know, what you do. But I'm happy with this collection actually. At the moment, I don't think there are any more blues that I want to buy, but if you know of any that you think are my kind of blue that I would love, and I would love to add to my existing colour palette, then let me know in the comment section down below. I would be interested to know actually what your favourite blues are, and do you have a favourite from this batch here? And if so, let me know. Okay, thanks everyone for watching. I'm going to hold this up so you can have a look, but I'll say goodbye for now, and I'll be back soon with a watercolour process video for you, a painting process. So take care and see you soon.